All right, if you haven't done so, please make sure that your first and last name is on your packet. Shh, come on, hurry. Today is the 2nd. It's May 2nd. It's 2022. The items that are due this week, we have our warm-up. We have our homework. Sorry, y'all, excuse me. We do have a study guide. And I don't know that we're ready to take a test yet. But after I do graphing systems, the unit is over. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. I won't put that down. All right, we're gonna do our warm up, and then we're going to do word problems. We're gonna do system word problems today. It's not a whole lot of word problems, so if we have time, you can start your homework. Hopefully, you'll have time to do that, or you can work on iReady. Your homework is in the packet. All right. We're doing the first page in the homework. That's 1 through 14. It's sample EOG questions. I do want you to show your work on white paper, and I'm going to give you some white paper here in a minute. Let's take out our planner. I'm going to give you pause for a minute, give you a chance to write, and let's write in our planners. All right, so let's look at our planner. This is May the 2nd through the 6th. That's this week. This is Q4 week 5. Please write that in. Pause real quickly. This is Q4 week 5. Please keep this date in the back of your mind. June 3rd is the last day for everything. Last day for submitting. Last day for just everything. So please note that that's the last day for everything. All right. Okay, so here Monday. Let me see if this orange is going to work. Math is too fat. It is too fat. Math 1. We got homework. You need to be working on iReady. And please don't wait till the last minute to study. The notes that you really need to be studying, well, you can go back and study everything because we got our EOCs coming up. But more so than that, you need to be studying systems, okay? Everything on systems of equations because that's the next test that's coming up. Okay. We have to submit work on Friday. So Math 1, we're submitting work. And I can't tell you at this point if we're going to have our test or whatever, just simply because I don't know how fast you're going to grasp what we're doing next. It could be very easy to you, and it could be very hard. If it's very easy, it's not going to take but 2 days to do. But if it's kind of hard, then we're going to have to push our test to the beginning of next week. All right. Any questions? Yes, baby.
When is our EOC?
It's at the end of the year.
Do you know what date yet?
Not yet. I have it written down, but I don't know off the top of my head. All right. Okay, let's look at the warm-up. All right, I'm going to give you time to answer the questions on your own, and I'm going to pass out the white paper for your homework. All right, here we go. It says a tennis ball is dropped at a height of 10 feet. That's the starting height. It's dropped. And each bounce is 52%. So if something is increasing or decreasing by a percent, what kind of function is that? It's an exponential function. And the fact that they give you a percent, is this exponential growth or is this exponential decay? This is decay. How do you know that it's decay? Yes. Because it's decreasing. So what is the form that you're going to use for exponential decay? Y is equal to a C
parentheses 1 minus r to the x.
X or T power. Okay. All right. So what's going to be my C? What number is going to be C?
10.
Somebody said 10. Good. And we got 1 minus, what's my R? 0.52 to the X power. Questions? Okay. So now we're going to do this problem. They want to know, we got the equation. Determine the number of bounces that it will take for the ball to have a bounce height of less than 3 feet. So let's type it in our calculator. Look at the function table to see at what bounce is it less than 3 feet. All right. So we got y is equal to 10. What is 1 minus 0.52?
0.48.
0.48. Dalton, go sit over with Miss across the hall. Who's that? Miss Barletto. Okay, just go and sit with her. And then when you get your life together, you can come on back. Okay, so that doesn't mean you stay the whole time, because you need to be in here for this stuff. But you need some time to get it together. Don't come back unless you're ready, okay? Yes, you can. Just go collect yourself, please. So we got 1 minus 0.52. Okay. So that gives you 0.48. We said that. I'm sorry. Jesus help me. All right. So let's type this in the calculator. Let's go to y equals. And let's type this in. We got y is equal to, already there, 10 parentheses 0.48. And we raise that to the x power. Okay. Now, how do we, after we type it in, everybody needs to type it in. Sammy, type this in, baby. Everybody should have this typed in. Hatcher, type it in, please. I'm going to wait. I'm going to pause and wait. All right, so now after we type it in, we want to go to the function table. What buttons do I press to view the function table? Yes, second graph. Okay. So now I want to know at what point is it less than the 3? 2. Okay. After that first bounce, somewhere in there. Okay. So after the first bounce. So how do I represent this after the first bounce? What inequality is x going to be after the first bounce? Not equal to, but what? Less than. So it's less than 1. So x is less than 1. Any questions about that? Or x is supposed to be greater than, isn't it? Sorry. X is greater than 1. My bad. Because x is going to be 2, 3, 4. It could be possibly 1 point, whatever. Yeah. 1 point something or another. Okay. All right, let's simplify. Ready? First thing that we're going to do is division here. How do we do this right here? How did we divide x to the 6 divided by x to the second?
You subtract that.
Subtract the exponents. So that's over to the side. That's going to be x 6 minus 2. What's 6 minus 2?
4.
X to the 4. So we got x to the 4th times, now we got x to the negative 5th. Now what do we do here? We add them. Very good, baby. So we add the exponents. When you multiply, you add the exponents. So that's 4 plus a what? Which is what? Negative 1. So this is going to be x to the negative 1. How do I write this as a positive exponent? Does anybody remember? Yes.
1 over x.
1 over x. Okay. And you can put a positive 1, but you don't have to. This is your answer. Okay. To make it a positive exponent, move it down to the bottom. If it's on the bottom and it's negative, move it to the top to make it positive. Any questions about this? All right. Let's put this away, please. And let's look at the word problems. Put this sheet in front of you. Let me pause so you all can get it together. And we're going to paste this in our notebook when we're done. All right, here we go. It says, let's look. I'm going to read it. I'm going to let you try to figure something out first. And then I'm going to tell you how to do a problem as such, okay? Let's see if you can come up with it before I just tell you. All right, this is system. So that means it's going to be more than one equation, okay? It says Kristen spent $131 on shirts, okay? Fancy shirts cost $28 and plain shirts cost $15. She bought a total of 7. Then how many different kinds of shirts did she buy? Okay? So see if you can try to come up with something. I'm going to pause, give you a chance to think about it, and then I'm going to tell you how to do this problem. Okay? Okay, so let me show you how to set a problem up as such. First, we identified all the key information. We need to identify what the question is asking us for. It's asking the unknowns here are going to be how many of each kind of shirt did they buy. Okay, what type of shirts are they talking about? Fancy and what? Plain shirts. So we're going to do this systematically. The X is going to represent the first shirt they said. What's the first shirt? So it's number of, what's the first shirt they talked about? Fancy. Mm-hmm. And you want to do this because that's probably the order that your answer choices are going to be in. So number of fancy shirts. Do y'all understand that this is the number sign? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Just making sure. And then Y represents the number of what? Number of plain shirts. Okay. Any questions about why those are my two unknowns? Okay, so now I'm going to write my equations. How do you write your equations? They have given us totals, right? So that's going to be my C. Okay, so what's the first total that they gave me? $131. That's my first total. Okay, what's the second total that they gave me? 7 shirts. Okay, so how do they come up with the first total? The first total is money. So how do you figure out how much money it costs? Think logically. How would I figure out, how would I get $131? What would I have to do? I'd have to add what and then add what? What would I have to do? But what about those though? Okay, so how do I figure out? I say the cost of the shirt, of the fancy shirts. How would I figure out if I bought 5 of those, what would I have to do?
You have to multiply 28 times 5.
Right. Okay. But if I bought 6 of those, what would it be?
20. It would be 28 times 6.
Okay. So since we don't know how many, what do I write that as? 28x
plus 15y.
Plus 15y. Any questions about that? Yes,
Could
baby.
you do it either way, like 28y plus 15x, or does that?
No, it doesn't matter. No. But it has to be, the X has to be attached to 28 because we said the X is the fancy shirt. Okay. Anybody else? You put that? Good. All right, so how do we get the total? What do we do? What do we have to do to get the total amount of shirts? Yes.
You plug in numbers for the X bar.
Yep, but what's the initial equation going to be? Yes.
X plus y.
X plus y equals 7. Does that make sense? Okay. Are you good? Okay. So now we got to decide. Yes, baby, I'm sorry. Which one? With which one?
The second one.
The number of fancy shirts, X, plus the number of plain shirts, Y, is equal to a total of 7. It says it right here.
7 shirts. Okay.
Do you understand? She bought a total of 7 shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So X plus Y is equal to 7. All right, so now we have to figure out what method we want to use to solve. Okay, graphing method is off the table. These numbers are too big. Got it? Okay, we can either use elimination or substitution. So now we have to decide which one is the easiest to use. Yes, sir.
Substitution.
I think substitution is easiest also. Okay, so which one of these variables would be the easiest to isolate? X or Y? Okay, in which problem? The first one or the second?
The second.
Definitely the second. So let's isolate the Y in the second equation. So X plus Y is equal to 7. To get Y by itself, I have to subtract X. Does that make sense?
Oh.
So this is going to be Y is equal to 7 minus X. Are y'all okay with that? Please write that down, okay? Yes, baby. He has, I can't tell him what to do with his eyes. He's writing his work down. He's doing his work. I think you're delusional. Shh, that you'll be okay. Stay focused up here. Leave him alone. If you are staring at him, please stop. Okay. Shh, okay. Then just don't look over that way. Bless his little heart. He's sensitive. All right. So now we want to look. We want to substitute this expression into the other equation. Questions about what I said?
No.
So let's rewrite the other equation. That is going to be 28x plus 15y is equal to 131. All right, so let's substitute this in the place of y. So that's 28x plus 15 times 7 minus x. Any questions about how I substitute? And I'll pause to give us a chance to write. Okay, let me pause. All right, so now let's look at this one. Okay. All right, we're going to substitute. So this gives us 28x. What is 15? Type it in if you don't remember. Sorry, y'all. What's 15 times 7?
105.
105. So we got plus 105. And then 15 times a negative x gives us a negative what?
15x.
Very good. All right, so now we combine like terms. What terms can we combine here?
28 and negative 15.
Very good. So we got 28 minus 15. And what does that give me?
13.
So this is 13x. Mark this out and this out. Bring down the plus 105 is equal to 131. Now what do we do to get x by itself?
Subtract 105.
Subtract 105 on both sides. Good job, babe. So this gives me 13x is equal to, we got 131 minus 105.
26.
That's 26. Good job. Okay, so when I divide both sides by what number to get 13, what's 26 divided by 13?
2.
So x is 2. So my x coordinate is 2. What does that mean?
That means she bought 2
What is
fancy shirts.
She bought 2 fancy shirts, okay? So now we got to figure out how many plain shirts she bought. Which equation can we use to substitute? Which is the
The
easiest?
second one.
The second one. Okay, somebody already said it. If we plug in 2, how do we solve for y?
You would
Subtract 2, and that gives you y is equal to what? 5. So what does that mean? How many?
That means she bought 5 plain shirts.
That means she bought. That's good. Any questions about how we got that as our answer? Okay, and I'll pause for the calls. All right. Let's try it. Let's do the second one. Okay. I'm going to read it and then you see what you can come up with on your own. It says there are 13 animals in the barn. Some are chickens and some are pigs. Okay. There are 40 legs in all. Okay. How many of each animal are there? Okay. So I want you to think about what the equations are going to look like. All right. And then come up with a method for solving them. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to get started. Okay. Come up with something and then I'm going to go over it. Let's see what you came up with. Okay. All right. So let me make sure I'm recording. I am. All right. So there are 13 animals in the barn. That's important. Some of them are chickens and some of them are pigs. That's important. There are 40 legs in all. That's important. How many of each animal? So what are the 2 variables that we need that are missing? What's the first thing that they're missing that we need to know? Number of what? Number of chickens. They say chickens first. And then what's the other?
Pigs.
Number of pigs. Okay? All right, so let's write the equations. Do we know what the C is for the first equation or the first total?
I said 13.
13. There are a total of 13 animals in all. And then what's the other total?
I said 40.
40 legs. Okay, so let's deal with the 13 animals. What equation can we write for 13 animals in all? Yes. X plus Y is equal to 13. Great job, Peyton. All right, for legs, what equation can we write for legs? Yes. 2x. Why 2x? She's right. Why?
Because there's 2 legs on chicken.
Very good. And what was the other one you said, baby? Plus 4y. And why did she say 4?
Because there's 4 legs on pigs.
Excellent. Any questions about that? Okay, so now we have to choose a method for solving this. What method do you feel like is going to be the easiest to use? Take graphing off the table because 40 is too big. 13 is actually too big as well. We're either going to use substitution or elimination. Which one?
Substitution.
Y'all like substitution. Okay. All right. You could actually do elimination as well. You just need to get 2 of them the same. Okay. But we'll use substitution. Which variable do you want to isolate first? Which variable do you want to isolate? Period. The X or the Y? Y. Okay. Are you going to use the first equation or the second? The first one's easier to isolate. So that's X plus Y is equal to 13. How do you get Y by itself?
Subtract X.
Subtract X. So this is going to give you Y is equal to 13 minus X. So now we're going to take the other equation and substitute this expression into the other equation. So that's 2x plus 4y is equal to 40. And we're going to replace this y right here with 13 minus x. So that's going to be 2x. I'm sorry, I forgot the plus sign. 2x plus 4 times, we got 13 minus x is equal to 40. Okay. So to solve this equation, we're doing distributive property first. So let's multiply. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. Let's multiply positive 4 times 13. What does that give us?
52.
Very good. This is positive 52. And then let's multiply 4 times a negative x. What does that give me?
Negative 4x.
Negative 4x. Bring down the equal, bring down the 40. Okay, so now what are we doing here? What's the next step? Combine like terms. What do we combine? And what does that give me when we combine these two? Negative 2x. So mark this out and that out. And bring down the 52 and 4 equals 40. Okay, so now what do we do to get x by itself?
Subtract 52.
Great job. Subtract 52. So here this gives us a negative 2x. And that gives us what's 40?
Negative 12.
Very good. Negative 12. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Now what do we do?
Divide by negative 2.
Divide by negative 2. And so what's our x going to be? Positive 6. I forgot to put a negative here. It's positive 6. So what does the 6 mean?
The 6 means there's 6 chickens.
Okay, so how do you figure out how many pigs? You plug in 6. Which equation you want to use? The first one is easiest, right? So this is going to be 6 plus y is equal to 13. So we subtract 6 on both sides. And what do we get for y? We get 7. So what does the 7 mean?
There's 7 pigs.
There's 7 pigs. Any questions about that? Okay, how do we feel about that so far? Still a little tricky? Oh, you said okay. You're okay with that too. Okay. Dalton, was you listening?
Yeah, I was listening.
Okay. Did you copy it at least?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so the next one I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about so you can get it, okay? All right. So I'm going to pause to give us a chance to write. Let me read this so you can go ahead and see what you can come up with for number 3, okay? A farmhouse shelters 10 animals. Some are pigs and some are ducks. Altogether, there are 36 legs. How many of each animal are there? It's a repeat of what we just did, right? Okay, I'm going to pause for the calls to give you a chance to write. To give you a chance to finish copying this and start the next one. Okay, here we go. So we got the farmhouse shelters 10 animals. Okay, that's important. Some of them are pigs and some of them are ducks. That's important. Altogether, there are 36 legs. That is important. How many of each animal? So there are two unknowns that we have. Dalton, what's the first unknown? What's the first thing that they don't know? The first thing they talked about. Go back and read. What was the first animal they talked about? Pigs. So we don't know how many pigs. So X is going to represent number of pigs. Does that make sense? Okay. What's the second animal? The number of ducks. Are you good with that? Ian, are you good with that? Are you good with it, Hatcher? Okay. All right. So now we got to do the totals, right? This is how we setting our equations up. Because they gave us totals. What was the first total that they gave us? They gave us 10 animals altogether, right? And then what was the other? 36 legs. Okay, so how do we get, let's go back to the 10. How do you get, mathematically, how are we going to get 10 animals? What do we have to do? Pigs plus ducks. So that's X plus Y. Does that make sense? All right, so how do we get legs, total legs? What do we have to do? Okay, so why 4X? Very good. You good. Hatcher, you good with that? Ian, you good with that? Okay, good deal, babe. All right. So now we got to figure out what method do we want to use. We're not going to use the graphing method because 36 is too big to graph. Okay. So what method do we want to use? Substitution or elimination? And there's no wrong answer. You could do both. Yes. You did elimination. What did you eliminate? The X's or the Y's? All right, so let's eliminate the Y's. These two have to be the same number. What can I do? What can I multiply to this 1 to give me 2? I can multiply everything by 2. Okay, so when I multiply this by 2, this is going to give me 2x plus 2y equals, what's 2 times 10? 20. And leave this. So now we can eliminate by addition or subtraction. How do we get rid of these both positive 2's? Add them or subtract? Subtract. So when we subtract here, what's 2x minus 4x? Negative 2x. This is gone. What's 20 minus 36? Negative 16. Are we good with that? So now what do? We divide both sides by what?
-2.
We divide both sides by -2, and that gives us x is equal to what number?
8.
8. So what does that mean?
That means there's eight pigs.
There are 8 pigs. Do you understand that, Dalton? Okay. We used the elimination method. You could have used substitution. Okay. So now what do we do to find the y?
Plug in 8.
Plug in 8. Which equation you want to plug it into, the first or the second?
First.
So that's x plus y is equal to 10. So plug in 8. So this is 8 plus y is equal to 10. So what do we have to do here? Subtract the 8. And what does that give me for y? 2. So what does the 2 mean?
There's 2 ducks.
There's 2 ducks. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. Are y'all okay? Are you okay, Brianna? Do you understand? All right. Any questions so far about 1, 2, and 3? Cal, what about you? Cursive? Okay. All right, I'm going to read number 4, and then you're going to do the others on your own. Let's just make sure we understand. Let me see, are there any that are different other than what I've done? No, not really. Okay. All right, so a class of 195 students went on a field trip. They took 7 vehicles. Some are cars and some are buses. Find the number of cars and the number of buses that they took if each car can hold 5 students and each bus can hold 45. All right, so I'm going to pause for the calls to give you a chance to set this up and hopefully solve, okay? Let's see. Okay, Sammy, so this is your turn. All right, so it says the class has 195 students that went on the trip. They took 7 vehicles, okay? Some are cars and some are buses. Find the number of cars and the number of buses that they took if each car holds 5 students and each bus holds 45 students. So let's first start off with what are our unknowns? We know there are 2 unknowns. What's the first unknown? Cars come first. That's the first thing. Cars come first. Only reason why I'm consistent with this is because when you look for your answers, they'll probably put cars first.
Does it matter which one's first, or does it have to be?
No, just if you mix it up, just note that your answer choices might be the other way around. Okay? Do you understand? Okay. So we got number of cars and number of what? Buses. Number of buses. Okay. All right, so now we're going to write the equations. So we're going to write it in standard form because they gave us totals. What was the first total that they gave us?
195.
195. Okay, and that's talking about students, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the other total?
7.
7 vehicles. Okay, 7 vehicles. So let's go back to students. How do we figure out how many students in all? What do we have to do?
5x plus 45y.
Where we get the y5x, what does that mean?
5x is how many
can fit in the car?
How many fit in a car? And what about, what's the other?
How many
there's
can fit in
45
the bus?
seats in the bus.
Very good. All right, and so what's the second equation?
X plus y is equal to 7.
All right, so what's the easiest thing to do here? Is it elimination or substitution? Just pick one. Let's do elimination then. All right, so elimination. Which do you want to get the same, the x's or the y's?
X.
Easier to get x. What can I multiply times x to give me the same 5? So we're going to leave the first equation alone. And we're going to multiply this by 5 so we can eliminate, okay, by addition or subtraction. What's 5 times x?
5.
What's 5 times y?
5.
And what's 5 times 7?
35.
All right, so we're going to eliminate the x's. Do you add or subtract to eliminate the x's?
Subtract.
You subtract. Sammy, do you understand that, babe? Hatcher, what about you, sweetheart? Huh? Where did I lose you, sweetie? This equation right here? Okay, so 5 in the problem represents the number of students. Well, first, the total is this many students in all. Does that make sense to you? That since it's the total, we got this, whatever this is equal to 95. The second total is 7, which I got from the problem because it's a total of 7 vehicles. Do you understand where I got the totals from? Okay. So now we got to figure out how to get that, how to know that it's 195 students. Well, it tells us that every car holds 5 students. So that's why we said 5x, because however many cars there are, we're going to take it and multiply it times 5. So if there are 2 cars, then we're going to say 5 times 2. If there's 7 cars, we're going to say 5 times 7. Does that make sense? Plus 45. Okay? So however many buses there are, you're going to say if it's 1 bus, then you're going to say 1 bus times 45 people. Does that make sense? You get it? So do you understand how we got this equation? So vehicles is the number of cars plus the number of buses. That's how we got x plus y. Are you okay? Okay. All right, so now we're going to use elimination method. So these two we want to be the same, the x's, so we can eliminate. So we multiply everything by 5, and that's what we got here. So now when we subtract, what's 5x minus 5x?
0.
That's 0. Okay, I don't even need to put 0. Sorry, y'all. What's 45 minus 5? 40. So we got 40y equals, and let's subtract. What's 195 minus 35?
160.
160. So now what do we do to get y?
Divide by 40.
Divide both sides by 40. So let's do 160. Sorry, y'all. 160 divided by 40. 160 divided by 40. What does that give us? 4. So y is equal to 4. What does that mean? No, what does that 4 mean? That's 4 buses. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do we figure out what x is?
You plug in 4.
To which equation do you want to use?
The second one.
The second one. So let's plug in 4. How do we solve? Sorry, y'all, I wrote it twice. How do we solve for x?
You subtract 4.
Subtract 4, and what does that give you for x?
X is equal to 3.
X is equal to 3. All right, so do the other ones on your own. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? This goes in your notebook. Let me see, what page is that? Yes. Okay, then give me one second. Let me figure out what page it is. This is going to be dun, 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 page 14. Please write that on the top that this is going to be page 14. Okay, I want you to finish the others on your own. If you need help, just ask. Go ahead, Cooper. You said you needed help with something. All right, we'll help you set this up. It says all 231 students, that's important, right? In the math club went on a trip. Some rode in a van that holds 7 students, and some rode in a bus that holds 25 students. How many of each type of vehicle? If there are 15 vehicles. So it's the same as this. So what did you say X was?
That's the problem was when I tried to, X would be buses and Y would be.
Okay, so X is the number of vans, right? And Y is the number of buses. Oops. Okay, so that's fine. So now, what are my totals here?
What I'm trying to figure out is when I went to do.
Well, I have to get to that part. I didn't do these, like, I can't just skip steps because I didn't do the problem. So I can't just skip to your step and say you had it right unless you show me your work. Can you show it to me, please?
Because I tried multiplying
Sorry.
6 by 6, and that was too little, and then I did 25.
So you did 7x. Where you get 7x? What's the x? I don't see what x is.
Okay,
X is
so
vans?
B equals X,
Okay, gotcha.
and
And
then
then
B
what's
equals 1.
buses? Okay, that's good. That's fine. And then what's this? Why you got not equal?
Because I know for a fact that Y isn't going to be equal
Well,
to
what's the
8
other
or
equation?
15.
Sorry. What's the other equation? Oh, it's right here. X plus Y is 15. Okay, so what method did you use?
I would take one of the numbers. I would go, okay.
Guys, Dalton, you're doing way too much.
I took a possible number and I tried to multiply it. But
Don't start, Elijah. Don't be.
Oh,
the
sorry.
thing that
Don't
I
be
was
like that.
stuck with was I tried doing the 6 and that was too little.
Okay,
And
so
as
guess
soon as
what?
I did 7.
I honestly, you didn't use any method, so it's hard for me to look at this and tell what you did. Does that make sense?
But what
Okay.
I did
So
was
what method are you using?
I pretty much blood and show.
Okay, yeah. It'll take me forever to figure out that.
Well, when I did 6 times the buses, that gave me too little.
Yeah, but you don't have to plug and check. Just use a method. That's always going to work. Use elimination or substitution.
Okay, I'll try.
Try it, please. Just try it. All right.